Kim is growing up on a mixed farm in southwest Manitoba. Kim was raised on 4-H curling, cultivating a lifelong love for all things farming. After high school, she attended University of Manitoba, first for her agronomy degree and then a master's degree in soil science, jointly with Ag Canada in Brandon. Over the last 30 years, she is fortunate to have been with Ag Canada, a research associate, Manitoba Ag as a weed specialist, and MB rep for MASC as both an adjuster and an insurance agent, and an industry agronomist as well. Kim returned to MBA in 2021 as the provincial weed specialist, where she is involved in training and extension of new and existing weed issues. Kim has been a CCA since 1999, adding the 4R nutrient management designation in 2019. Please help me introduce Kim Brown.
Okay, thanks very much, and thanks very much for asking me here. It's always a big honor to be asked to do any meeting, but it's very nice to come back here and see some familiar faces. Kim Brown, also known as Bad News Brown. Any of you who listen to any of my talks, you know I'm always going to talk about pretty much the same weeds, and there's really nothing new other than everything's getting worse. So, yay. But I mean, there are still solutions because we're obviously still farming, but we have to be really careful. We have to really watch what we're doing because it's getting a lot harder. I keep thinking I should just have a little video of me taking that easy button from Staples and just smashing it with a hammer because it's not easy anymore. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. So I've got lots of pictures and things, so you guys will watch me on time, hopefully, and then I think I have till 11, but I want to leave some time for questions. So I show this slide all the time just because there's a lot of us in this room that have not seen very many new pesticide groups in our lifetime. This is a slide from weedscience.org. If you guys want any information on weed science, lots of the sciencey stuff is at that site. It's really a good site. And this is the number of sites of action and the introduction time that those are introduced. So we had herbicides way back here in the 1940s. MCPA, 2,4-D were actually synthesized during World War II for the war effort. They were never used for that. But shortly after, by 1946-47, they were being used extensively in agriculture to kill broadleaf weeds. And then shortly after that, Group 15s came along because you actually had to do something to kill the grasses. Because before 2,4-D and MCPA, your worst weeds were things like wild mustard and stinkweed and weeds that we barely even think about nowadays. Then all of a sudden you have all these grass weeds in your crops that you have to start killing. So, we start way back here in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and all of these groups, this is a really nice time period in here, and all of a sudden we just stop right there. Basically, early to mid 1980s, there has not been a new usable herbicide group in over 40 years. This group out here, that's group 28, those are rice herbicides, so unless it gets really, really, really wet here again, I don't think we're using anything from that. So for us, what we're using is coming off this table. We do sometimes have new active ingredients and even sometimes a new family. So within these herbicide groups, we have different families. If you know the group 2s, there's 4 different groups in there. If you know the group 1s, the graminicides, there's like the DENs, which is axial, and then the FOPs and the DIMs and that type of thing. There's different families in there. Quite often you'll get cross-resistance up across the families within a group, but we do sometimes have new products. We have new combinations of products. We have something new, like from Corteva. We have a nice new active, not new, it's about a decade old now, but we have haloxifin. That's a great new molecule. But again, that's just a group 4, so it might be a new family, but it's still a group 4, and it works pretty much the same way as all the other group 4s do. So we don't have anything new. Is there anything new coming? I almost always used to say no, but now there is a little bit of hope on the horizon, but it's far out, and it's not going to be a silver bullet by any means. We don't have any of those coming. So we do have a new product coming from Bayer. That's a few years away. That's a really nice product, totally new group, so they'll actually have to put a totally new group out here in 2020. I think it's been classified now in 2025. It's actually, I think, a group 23. But it's a pre-emerge. It's a great product, does grasses and broadleaf weeds, but it's pre-emerge. It's basically a burn-off product. And there's another one called diflufenicam that is coming. It is already registered, and it's not new, but it's new to us because it's a group 12, which is right in here. And so we have not used that one before, and that also is a pre-emerge product. And it only does broadleaf weeds. So there are a couple of new things coming, but are they going to replace everything we're putting in the spray tank now? Absolutely not. They're going to complement it, and they're going to help us use all the things in here that we're still using because we have to, because we don't have anything new. So because we're able to use, we're going to get a few new tools in the future that'll help prolong the life of some of the things in here that are still working, because lots of them are starting to not work at all or very well. So we do weed resistance surveys about every 5 years. Our last one was 2022. It was supposed to be 2021, but COVID. And so we're doing it again this summer. So you're going to see us going around the province. We do an abundance survey where we do about 650 fields, 650 to 700 fields, where we count all the weeds. And so we have an abundance survey. And then for those, we go back to about a quarter of those fields. You can see all the dots. Those are the fields we did here in Manitoba back in 2022. And we actually gather weed seeds. And we grow them out and we spray them with all the things that are supposed to kill them, and if they don't die, then they're considered resistance. That's doing traditional bioassay testing. And then we also, this fall too, we're coming back in the late fall, so in October you'll be seeing me in the countryside, maybe not very much up here because you guys don't have a heck of a lot of kochia yet, but I'll be doing kochia and Russian thistle late in the fall because we have a hard time getting viable seeds off those two weeds until quite late in the year. So we'll do that as well, but these are in 2020, this is our sites from 2022, basically the other survey sites went from 2019 to 2023. And so when we actually look at all the data from all the different weed species that were there, this is the graph. So we've done this weed survey in this way going back over 25 years now so that we can actually compare the data from year to year to year. If you do it in the same format, you can compare across the years. And that's why you get these lovely little lines up here that just keep going up and up and up. Manitoba's this top one, the dashed line with little triangles. For some reason, we have always had more herbicide resistance than Alberta and Saskatchewan, but Saskatchewan has now caught us. So as of the last weed survey, so this is where we were in up to 2022, and as of the last weed survey, we are at 72%, Saskatchewan's at 72%, and Alberta's at 64%. So that means that 72% of our fields in Manitoba have at least one herbicide-resistant weed in them. Basically, of all the fields that we did, when you extrapolate that to all the fields across the prairies, it's about 70%. So again, we're a touch higher in Manitoba. We always have been. I don't know why. We have quite a diverse crop rotation, but we've always been highest for resistance. But across the prairie provinces, 7 out of 10 fields have at least one herbicide-resistant weed. And that's estimated to cost prairie farmers about $658 million. That's either lost productivity, increased costs for weed control, increased like losing yield through things like dockage, all the kinds of things, all the things. So then this is one of the reasons, these are some of the resistant weeds we have. I have a few of these on the table back, at the very back table by the coat rack. You can find it here on this site, on this network. So there's 3 networks that there's a lot of good practical government data housed at. There's the Prairie Insect Monitoring Network and the Prairie Disease Monitoring Network and the Prairie Weed Monitoring Network. And so it's all of these people here, so the provinces, Pulse and Soybean Growers, Crop Alliance, Alberta Grains, POGA, and then Alberta Canola, Manitoba Canola, and of course Ag Canada. So there's tons of information there. So if you guys are looking for some information, our website for weeds is quite new. It's the newest one, so there's not a lot there yet. But any of our survey data is going to be housed there, and things like this. So this is actually the herbicide-resistant weeds in the prairie region. It's a couple of years old now, so it's not up to date. There's more weeds on here yet. Here's group 5, there's group 14, that's things like AIM and heat and Baraxer. So far, we just have kochia, water hemp, and wild oat. Here's our group 1 weeds that we've got resistance: green foxtail, foxtail barley, wild oat, yellow foxtail. Group 9, that's glyphosate. We really only have 3 weeds. It's bad when we have those weeds around that glyphosate doesn't work, but generally glyphosate or Roundup is still a really, really great product, and keep using it where you can. Other than kochia, downy Roman, water hemp, this big group in here is all group 2s. And again, I have a few of these on the table back there if you guys want a table like this, or you can contact me and I'll just send you the PDF. You can print it off. So group 2s, that was a herbicide group that came out in the early 1980s, and within 2 years it actually had resistance to it. And one of the reasons that it has resistance is it's a single site of action, and they're actually they're products that work really well. So the better they work, actually the faster resistance can grow, because they do a really good job at killing all the susceptible ones, and anything that was resistant gets to live and set seed, and then just gradually it takes over the entire population. So this is all group 2 weeds, everything broadleaf, grasses, everything in here. And then group 3, we actually do need to add, you have to watch your red root pigweed. For those of you guys who've been using Treflan and Edge, we do have populations in the central Manitoba that we have red root pigweed now that is resistant to edge. It's guys that were doing dry beans every other year, or sometimes every year, which is really not a smart agronomic idea, but here we go. It was really good price. Really good price. Is very profitable crop until you get to the point that you can't spray pigweed out of it anymore, and then it's really not a very good crop at all. Excuse me, despite the fact that we've had group 4s on the landscape since World War II, we actually have very few resistant weeds worldwide. We really don't have a lot of resistant weeds. That's really, really great. The way they work, especially things like 2,4-D and MCPA, is really complex, and it takes the weeds a long time to get around that, which is a really good thing. We definitely do have resistance. We've got kochia, group 4 resistant kochia, wild mustard, hemp nettle, and cleavers as well. Anyways, so back to the basics. Because we don't really have anything new coming, again, there's a couple of products coming, but they're going to be they're going to be burn-off products. They're going to be great, but we're still going to be having to do something in crop for weeds, so we're going to have some kind of competition. We need to go back to the basics and say, okay, what else can we do if we can't do it all with the spray tank anymore? So what weeds are on your farm and what's coming? So are they herbicide resistant? Are they multiple herbicide resistant? Because we know we have lots of weeds that are resistant to multiple herbicide groups. Test for resistance. I just did a quick talk at Ag Days this year. It's on YouTube somewhere. If you just Google Kim Brown Ag Days, it's there. And just talked about the 2 different ways to test for